Hello, everyone.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Talking Games with Kelly. Another episode of
Talking Games
with
Kellie and Andrew.
And Andrew.
I'm Andrew.
Andrew. And I'm Andrew.
What?
And I'm Kelly.
Okay. You really got me there. You really genuinely got me there.
You could probably just mute my audio for that part.
Then I will sound very dumb because I'll be like, hello.
You'll sound like you've been imbibing fluids.
I've been imbibing nothing.
Alcoholic fluids.
But water. Cheers. I promise it's water, even though it's in a solo cup. I just moved in.
Why are you drinking water? Oh, okay.
And my cups, up until today, my kitchen was not accessible. My kitchen is accessible as of like an hour ago. So I haven't even had time to get my cup, my actual glasses out. So I've been drinking out a solo cup. So I do look like I'm imbibing. But the only thing I'm imbibing in is Nintendo vibes.
Wow.
So, Kelly.
Great tie-in.
I know you were very excited about the Direct last week.
Last week?
Yeah, the one that they...
2 weeks ago?
What?
Oh, yeah.
Obviously.
Sorry. I forgot there was a Direct last week.
Yep, everybody did. So obviously, if you're listening on day of release, this is a couple days late, and that's because we waited for the Switch 2 Direct, because it would have been a little silly to do a big episode right before, this crazy storm of news. So we held off, but oddly enough, last week there was a Nintendo Direct. It was focused on Switch 1. They announced it very unexpectedly. It was fine. There were a lot of interesting ports. There was like some interesting Japanese games coming forward to new platforms. I'd recommend watching it if you're interested, but there were a couple big game reveals, and then they announced this new thing called Nintendo Today, which is a new news app, so Nintendo can kind of control the news flow. It seems like they just want to get off Twitter, but it is like a fun way to get your news. It's kind of like they have like animations and theming and stuff, so it's a little bit of a cooler way to get your news than Twitter. But that app is how we got our first news story of the day.
Yippee! You guys won't believe what this first news story is going to be.
The Legend of Zelda movie is something we've known about for a little while. And on that Nintendo Today app, they announced that it's coming out March 26th of 2027. Which, I'm going to be honest, a little earlier than I expected.
I feel like it's later than I expected. I feel like, why are you announcing a movie coming out 2 years from now?
Well, the thing about it is, like, they announced Mario the second it started, like, pre-production, and then they did that again with Zelda, and the Mario turnaround was really long. And then, like, there was that weird in-between where they announced the cast and stuff, which was still way before release. So 2 years is, like, that's how movies do it, right? Like, games these days are better about, like, announcing things 1 year in advance, basically. But movies are always a couple years anymore, I feel like. So, I don't know if they're just required to do that, but that's something to look forward to, I guess.
Yeah.
It's live action, so I'm not interested, but...
Yeah, I'm interested to see, like, when we actually if we get, like, a casting announcement at some point, like they did with the Mario movie, which was obviously different because... which was obviously different because that was animated.
Yeah.
So...
Well, Link's going to be Tom Holland. Zelda's going to be Zendaya. And Ganondorf's going to be played by... who's like a Sony staple dude?
A Sony staple? Mark Wahlberg?
Mark Wahlberg. Yes, mm-hmm. Mark Wahlberg's going to play Ganondorf. And then Impa's going to be played by...
also...
Mark Wahlberg.
Mark Wahlberg. Yeah, I like that. Another place you can put Tom Holland, Zendaya, and Mark Wahlberg is in the new Tomodachi Life game, which is coming to the Switch 1 in 2026. This was a surprise announcement, and very exciting for me personally because I absolutely adore Tomodachi Life. It's very silly. Probably the silliest game you can play because you can make you and your friends do silly activities together. But yeah, it's called Tomodachi Life Living the Dream. It's coming out in 2026 for the Switch 1, as we know. And I would imagine that it could eventually come to the Switch 2. I don't see why not, but...
I have a feeling based on what we found out today that for certain games they're not going to do Switch 2 versions. They might just do like a patch to make it like run better, but like just it doesn't seem like there's going to be anything to this game that requires the Switch 2's power. So I bet this is just on Switch 1 and maybe it runs at a higher frame rate or something. It's Tomodachi Life. It's like I don't think it really needs much.
Yeah.
I didn't expect this. I really didn't expect that.
Yeah, it was quite shocking. I saw a tweet on Twitter, because where else would it be, where the person was like, if Tomodachi Life gets announced tomorrow, everyone who replies to this tweet I will buy a copy. And lo and behold, it was in fact announced. And they were like, I was not expecting that.
Yeah. Another game that I didn't expect is a new entry in the Rhythm Heaven series. This is a series that's been laying dormant for a very long time. It's getting a new game also on Switch 1. We are still on that Switch 1 Direct, and that's also coming in 2026. Another game I don't think really needs the power of the Switch 2, so it makes sense. I don't think there's anything wrong with releasing games on the old platform when you don't need to release it on the new one, you know? It's just the oddness of the two biggest games from the presentation being 2026. And granted, that could be January 2026. Like, it could very easily be the very first chunk, so it's like 12 months or less away from right now. But it's a little weird. I think it's just them telling some people, like, hey, we're not abandoning you.
I think it's just a little too early. I understand why, but I think it's a little too early. But it is what it is.
But now we get to move on to the real fun of the show. And that was today, April 2nd's big gigantic Switch 2 Direct. Kelly, I have a question for you.
Yes.
So there's a lot of very exciting, very cool news. Lots of games to talk about.
Yes.
I'm very excited to get in depth with this stuff and talk about everything we saw. There's one thing that we need to talk about that is not related to video games quality or trailers or anything. But it is important to this discussion, and I want to ask you if you want to start with it or end with it.
Okay.
Video game pricing. We have to talk about it.
Sure, yeah.
So do you want to save it, or do you want to get it out of the way and focus on the games?
Let's get it out of the way so we can kind of talk about the not so fun stuff first.
Okay.
And then we can get more into the fun stuff.
Okay. So Mario Kart is a game we'll be talking about in a minute. We'll talk about the details, but we knew about that game coming to the Switch. Today, after the presentation, they announced that Mario Kart, the new one, will cost $80 US. There are some countries where physical copies are going to cost more. This is a primarily US listening audience, and that does not apply in the US as far as we can see. What I can tell you for 100% sure is that Best Buy has already listed that new game, and it is $80. So the physical copies will be $80. And Nintendo said last generation when they released Tears of the Kingdom that they're going to, do variable pricing, meaning each game that it gets announced is going to get a price based on quality that they, see in it. And the other big game that they talked about in this presentation is $70. So they weren't lying. They are going to be doing variable pricing, which is not a common practice in major publishers. But $80 is more than $70. And we made the $70 plunge 5 years ago, right? PlayStation 5 came out, and that was the first $70 games.
Yeah.
And I think I knew it was coming. I knew there was a price increase on the horizon. I figured GTA 6 was going to be the first one to do it. I really didn't expect Nintendo to be like on the forefront of the price hiking.
Yeah. I think the console itself is appropriately priced, which I don't know if we're talking about that at this moment.
I mean, you can get into it. That's the first part of it anyway.
So the console itself is $449 or $450 in US dollars, and then $500 with the Mario Kart bundle. I think the console is appropriately priced. I think for maybe what it is, it's a little high. Like I think 400 would be great. I think 420 would be great in the spirit of April.
Nice.
450 seems a little high, but I don't think it's absurd. Especially if I don't think a Switch is comparable to like the processing system of other consoles, but I think that, what am I trying to say here?
I would encourage
those consoles are like $600, $700. So I think it's appropriate for the current market.
And it's cheaper than a Steam Deck. And I'd say Steam Deck is its primary competition these days, and it is stronger than a Steam Deck. So,
yeah, I think the thing is the games are... I think that is an issue, personally. I believe that is far too much money. Because at the end of the day, yes, the games are $80 US, but if you account for tax, you're basically paying almost $90 for a video game. I don't think that is... I think that's going a little too far. I think 70 was going too far if we're being completely honest with each other, and it's still an adjustment that I have to make every time I buy a new game that comes out when I have to. I just feel that 80, almost probably 85, 86 with tax, it's like you're kind of asking a lot of people, particularly, and like I said, the Switch 2 does not seem to have, it's not on the same like processing field as other consoles. And while it is cheaper, it doesn't really make sense for the games to be more expensive, in my opinion. I think that cheaper games are always out there, and I think that they're like varied pricing is an interesting tactic. So, I don't know. I think this is going to continue to get worse, and I think that Nintendo taking this step is a little bit alarming. I think it opens the door for other companies to take this step. I think that any other company would look at this and say, okay, well, what we're making, it's more intensive on the system. These games are, they're using more processing power. Of course we can charge $100 for it. Mm-hmm. It's GTA 6. Of course we can charge $100 for it. And I think that is kind of alarming, particularly if you consider the sort of state of, and I'm speaking from an entirely US perspective, so just go into my next comments with that knowledge. But I think that it is, if you take into consideration the state of the economy and kind of where we are, it's like, yeah, things are getting absurdly expensive. They have continuing to get expensive and not affordable and not accessible. And I do think that is, I don't know if disappointing is the right word, but it is quite shocking to see that Nintendo's the first one to sort of put it on the table and say, we're bumping it up to 80 for certain games. I think that is a line that has now been crossed and can easily be crossed even farther from Sony or Microsoft. So not great. And I think also the truth is too, like, there are going to be so many games that come out that people just will not be able to play day one if they are going to cost this much money. Just especially in other parts of the world where obviously things are valued differently cost-wise. I don't know. It's just a little startling and not something that feels good at all, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree with you that I think the console is pretty fairly pretty fairly priced, to be honest, because, a lot of people were hoping for 400, 450. The grand scheme of things isn't that much more, especially for a one-time purchase, Like, you buy one, Switch 2. You're not going to be, like, you're buying games all the time. That's the frustration of that. But you buy the Switch 2 one time. And that is a decently generous, I shouldn't say generous, it's a good deal on that bundle. Because if that's an $80 game, you're saving $30 right there. I'll be doing that, It's hard to fight. It's hard to argue with that. It does appear that bundle is temporary. It looks like it'll be gone before Christmas, which is kind of crazy.
Yeah.
It says available till fall 2025. So it seems like that Mario Kart bundle is to get people in the door, but that's not some like permanent fixture. Like you won't always be able to get Mario Kart for cheaper with your console. Benefits me directly because I will be getting it day one, but it's a little weird. It's just unexpected because they've only had one $70 game. If PlayStation did this, it'd be like, oh, that makes sense. I mean, it's frustrating, but it makes sense. They've been releasing games for $70 for a long time. But Nintendo has only done this once, and now they're jumping from... It feels like they're jumping from 60 to 80, which a $20 jump is much bigger,
Mm-hmm.
And I think we appear to be at least fortunate enough that physical copies are not more expensive, which is nice because I'm a very big proponent of physical copies. That's how I prefer to play my games. So I'm glad it shouldn't be more expensive that way. But at the same time, if they started charging $70, like reduce the price by $10 for digital, that has an appeal. I don't understand why that has never happened, because Nintendo gets more money that way. We save money by doing it. If they want to encourage people to go digital, that's the way to do it. So maybe that's a step they'll take at some point. But did you say the release date?
June 5th.
Woo! I think
2025.
There was a lot of rumbling about like mid-May. June 5th is only like 2 weeks later, so it's not actually that different. But I'm happy with that. It's early. It's only 2 months from right now, which is whoa. That's shocking. That's exactly what happened with the Switch 1, right? Like they announced it in the early January and it came out March 3rd. So I'm just glad we don't have to wait long, because now we're going to talk about games. And this is good news. The Direct was chock full of video game reveals and video game footage. And they started the presentation off with the launch title, Mario Kart World. This is the new Mario Kart game, and it is not just race on a track and try to come in first. There is a ton going on here. So this actually has a huge interconnected world. There's multiple modes, so it does appear that there's like a traditional Mario Kart mode, but there's also a mode where the 4 tracks are connected to each other, and you have to drive between tracks, so it's very organic and they blend together. There's also a mode where you're driving across the world and there's 24 racers and there's like checkpoints. And if you're not in X place, like if you're not in 20th place by the time you get to the first checkpoint, you're out. You get knocked out. And it's just reducing the number of players as the game goes on. And there's an exploration mode. You drive around this world freely. You just explore it, find things. There's a ton of customization that we saw in this. There's tons of characters for the bee from Mario Galaxy, a crab, the cow from Moo Moo Meadows you can drive as him. Her,
Mr. Meadows.
Her, she got udders, so I guess it's a her.
Miss Meadows.
It just seems like there's a lot going on here. Costumes is such a cool addition to this game. Being able to dress up Mario, dress up Peach, make different outfits. I don't know how much customization is going to be involved, but there's definitely outfits. There's eating. I don't know what that does, but you eat burgers and stuff. At one point, Birdo drives into the back of a pickup truck. Not a pickup truck, a semi-truck. And then is just controlling a semi-truck, like a giant semi-truck during this race. There's going to be another Direct in mid-April focused on Mario Kart World. But they showed a lot of gameplay, and I don't know what if Mario Kart's gonna be the launch title, it makes sense for there to be some sort of evolution related to it. But this is way more of an evolution for Mario Kart than I expected. This is a leap,
Mm-hmm.
This is so new.
Yeah, it looks really fun. It's a Mario Kart game. I always have fun playing Mario Kart.
Mm-hmm.
I love the costumes aspect too. And I love seeing little country Luigi with his little hat. Big fan of
I
that.
love how much they keep showing it.
I know. Big fan of that. And we all know Birdo can't drive. So I don't think she ever got her truck driver's license. So I will be calling the state police on her.
Okay. Of which state?
That's a great question.
Okay.
I will be calling Highway Patrol.
Okay.
Yeah, this looks fun. I mean, like I said, I've never not had fun playing Mario Kart, so I think it'd be really cool if it was like a big, like you were saying, they're continuous, right?
There's modes for like continuous races, yeah, where like all of the tracks are connected to one another in this world. It looks like there's modes that are more traditional, but then there's a mode that basically makes it like the tracks bleed into each other and you're like allowed to go off track and all this crazy stuff. I'm sure we'll find out a lot more in that direct. Like they didn't go into every single detail, but
yeah,
there's a lot.
It would be quite fun to do just one of every single map, like a big continuous like
the way they used to do on like thing. GameCube, where you had to do all 16 in a row, except it's just one long race.
Yeah,
I'm kind of expecting something like that. I mean, they got that world tour, like you tour around the world, you know.
Yes.
It's definitely a lot more than I expected. And, you know, I'm a big single player person. I love playing Mario Kart with other people, but I love playing games alone. Just the fact that you can drive around and explore, and there's like you can jump. There's like a big jump button, I assume, during that exploration mode, but like it's an open world but you're in a car.
It's like Forza.
I think it is probably literally inspired partially by Forza.
Well, that's fun. I'm excited for that.
Yes. I'm getting it day one for sure. I shouldn't say that. I'm going to do everything in my power to acquire a pre-order on April 9th. That's my goal. I'm going to try to do Best Buy so I can pick it up in store on day one.
I believe in you.
Thank you.
I manifest good energy your way so that you can do that.
Thanks.
You're welcome. They also announced Nintendo Switch Online getting a new expansion, adding a GameCube with GameCube games. This is a day one thing for the Switch 2, which is exciting. Some titles include Wind Waker, F-Zero GX, and Soul Calibur 2. Eventually, they're adding Mario Sunshine. You know, they're adding the hits, really. Fire Emblem, Path of Radiance, Luigi's Mansion, Pokemon XD, Pokemon Coliseum, Chibi Robo, and Mario Super Strikers. These are all like classic GameCube games, like truly the cream of the crop. I, in particular, am very excited to play like Fire Emblem Radiance because that game is notoriously hard to obtain. So that'll be great. I'm excited to play Wind Waker, even though I have it for the Wii. Not the Wii, but I have the GameCube version of the game that you can play on the Wii. I don't have my GameCube anymore. And it's kind of unpleasant to play the Wii in 2025, if you can believe it. So having like an improved visual version of Wind Waker will be amazing. Mm-hmm. I never played Soul Calibur 2. I think I played Soul Calibur 4 way back in the day. Never played 2, but that's exciting.
It has Link.
Yes, I do remember that. I remember making my own character in Soul Calibur 4, I think. If I'm not mistaken. I think you could do that. That doesn't matter. That's not coming to the GameCube expansion. I just wanted to add that. Also, very exciting, Pokemon XD and Coliseum coming to this is amazing because those are two incredible Pokemon games, in my opinion.
I was going to say, I thought so. I played Coliseum recently. Oh, yikes.
I think XD Gale of Darkness is a little bit more fun.
Yeah.
Because the shadow mechanic is interesting. But Coliseum holds a special place in my heart because I was very young when I played it, and I used to think Umbreon and Espeon were dating and in love.
Oh.
And I used to be, this is how serious it was. So it used to be, there's a female character in that game who you rescue at some point, and she stands beside your character in all the battles. And if you didn't know this, in Pokemon Coliseum, every battle is a double battle. Same with Pokemon. Oh no, I don't think that's true for XD, is it? Are they all double bat? I can't remember.
I think Coliseum's the double battle. I don't think that's XD.
Yeah, so I used to pretend that she was the owner of the Espeon because I wanted her to be involved more than she was. That's how serious it was for me back then. They're also releasing a GameCube controller.
Oh, right.
for Nintendo Switch Online members, which is kind of cool. It's just a classic purple controller. I personally still have an orange, like a bright Nickelodeon orange one that works. So obviously that wouldn't work in this situation.
No, it
but
would. Do you have the? You just have to get the adapter,
oh,
which does
then
still.
it would work.
It does still. The USB adapter does still work. So if you want to play with GameCube controller, you should be able to.
I think everyone has the GameCube controller that they are emotionally attached to. Like, I know some people had the silver one. Some people had the purple one. I had the orange one, and that was I got it from Best Buy, and it was like a big deal because it was it was official Nintendo game. It wasn't like a Mad Catz controller. It was Nintendo, but it was bright orange. Well, I was a big fan.
Plug that little guy in and play GameCube on Nintendo Switch 2.
Yeah, pretty wild.
I mean, I was pretty surprised. It makes sense now why they waited for Switch 2, because the performance boost is pretty impressive. Like, these games look really sharp. It's not just like a straight port. There's some really nice emulation going on here. So credit to them. It's definitely, they put in the work to make it look nice and utilize the Switch 2 very much.
Yeah, absolutely.
I also feel like I'm realizing I didn't really go into, at any point in this news, because we're talking about games, Switch 2 features. So I'm just going to speed round real quick. The Switch 2 is a in-handheld 1080p 120 hertz LCD, not OLED, HDR screen. 120 hertz was the huge surprise for me. I really didn't expect that personally. It also supports all of those things in docked mode as well as 4K, meaning the Switch 2 can do 4K output at up to 120 hertz. I doubt any Switch 2 games will be running at 4K 120. That is a crazy milestone to reach. But it has the ability to do that. There's also a C button included, which is the ability to bring up chat. So there's a very highly functional chat function. Highly functional chat function, I said. I'm so smart. So you can be chatting with friends, sharing your screen with them all at the same time. They were very realistic with it in the trailer because it is choppy as heck. Like, you see like you and then like three of your friends at the bottom, like their screens while they play Mario Odyssey or Animal Crossing or Kirby or something. And those screens are running at like 5 frames per second, literally in the trailer. And I'm like, well, I appreciate the honesty with that. And that's not a terrible thing. Like, if you're playing a game while having other friends' games up, you're probably not looking at those screens a lot. You're looking at yours, but cool feature. The social features are very heavily integrated into this thing. There's a microphone built into the Switch 2. They tout it as very powerful and very good at differentiating like your voice from the game and stuff. So, because I imagine you're not going to be sitting right by your Switch if you're docked. But it says it works really well. I'll be curious to see how truthful that is. And you can also buy a camera for 50 extra bucks that hooks onto your Switch, and you can do face cam with your friends and even get involved in some games. They can put you in some games, and you could do like face streaming while you're all playing games. You're streaming all your faces as well. And like in Mario Kart, it's like attached to your character while you're playing in multiplayer. It's very
like at the arcade.
Yeah, it's exactly like the arcade feature. It's kind of cute. I won't be buying the camera. I will not be spending $50 extra when I'm already buying all these things.
Yeah, no way.
But we also found out about Nintendo Switch 2 editions of video games. So these are Switch 1 games that are getting new Nintendo Switch 2 editions. These are basically ports, but you can upgrade, kind of like how you have a PS4 to PS5 upgrade path. So you have to pay for an upgrade. But if you don't have it, you can just go out and buy a Switch 2 edition in a store of Mario Party Jamboree, Super Mario Party Jamboree, I should say. That game includes new game modes, and it uses some of the new accessories, including the Switch Joy-Con 2, which can be used as a mouse. And it also uses the camera, and it seems like a fun little thing. I will not be paying for this because I already got my fill of Mario Party Jamboree, and I'm not buying the camera. Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom are both getting major performance ups. They showed some footage, and it is kind of shocking. If you ever watched like PC footage of Breath of the Wild or Tears of the Kingdom running really well, it looks like that. They're also adding a companion app. It's Zelda Notes to the Switch Online app. And it like takes you to things you haven't found yet. You can cheat basically, but like in a fun way. It's like, oh, take me to the nearest Korok I haven't found, and it guides you there, which is neat, and it's connected. And then there's a bunch of other little features like QR codes to share your creations in Tears of the Kingdom, tracking all of your progress and things. There's even new voice notes that they recorded, so it's like Zelda telling you things if you find her voice notes, which is a neat thing to add. I think it's more interesting that it has a major performance boost, though, personally. And that one's free if you have the Nintendo Switch Online expansion pack. So if you have that already and you get a Switch 2 day one, you'll be able to play both of those games in a much more beautiful fashion. Excitingly, Metroid Prime 4 and Pokemon Legends ZA both got Switch 2 editions confirmed, which means there are going to be some cross-gen titles that are on both. Metroid Prime 4 is getting, of course, a performance boost, and it utilizes the new mouse as a potential option for you to control it, which is neat. The performance boost, this is the most impressive one, in my opinion. Metroid Prime 4 on Switch 2 can run at 4K 60, so 4K 60 FPS, or 1080p at 120 FPS, which boggles my mind. Retro is really good at getting absolutely everything out of a console possible, but running a game at HD 120 or 4K 60 even on a Switch 2 just seems crazy to me. But they appear to have accomplished that. And Pokemon Legends EA is just a performance, no new features. But I will say they showed a little bit of it, and it looks a lot better. It looks like it's running a lot better. And they're also doing a Kirby and the Forgotten Land Switch 2 edition. That's obviously going to be upping the performance and making it prettier again, but it is also including a story expansion. So there's a whole new story section of the game. All of those you can pay for an upgrade, like I said, or you can buy new editions. So like I just saw confirmation that Kirby and the Forgotten Land and Mario Party Jamboree will be $80 retail releases. So you can go out and you can spend $80. But if you already own those games on Switch 1, you just pay the upgrade fee. We do not have confirmation of the upgrade fee. It might be out by the time you're listening to this, it probably is out because they've been releasing it in like waves as people find things in websites and stuff. But they're going to probably be $20. Hopefully 10 if we're really lucky, but probably $20, which
not great.
For me, like Kirby, if they released a $20 DLC expansion, I would have chowed that thing down. I've been like, yes, which is basically what this is for me. So if Kirby, I'm happy. But Mario Party, I'm like, I don't need that. And then Breath of the Wild, Tears of the Kingdom, I'm like, it's just a performance boost. I don't want the app.
Yeah.
I don't want the app.
$20 for a performance boost does not feel good to me.
Yeah. But like,
I think especially if you consider the I don't even know if necessarily competitors aren't the word, but if you consider other platforms that have older editions of games, you can typically get newer editions of games, upgrades, and not pay for them. So,
I mean, Sony does the $10 thing. They are very much like pay $10, get a better version. But they don't usually add content. They'll add some content, but it's more about visuals for them.
I don't remember paying when I got Cyberpunk, the PS5 version.
Yeah. When games were still like kind of the same price across generations, it was free. But Sony definitely did like have Horizon. Like if you bought God of War, it was $70 on PS5 and $60 on PS4. And if you bought Horizon, it was $60 on PS4 and $70 on PS5. So.
But what if you upgraded to the PS5 version?
You'd pay $10.
You already owned the... I just don't remember doing that.
Cyberpunk was definitely free. That is correct. But with like Horizon and
so you're saying like Sony titles?
Yeah, Sony made titles. And like when they did that Horizon Zero Dawn remaster, you could pay, as well as Last of Us 2, you could pay to upgrade those to PS5 versions.
Well, that was stupid anyway, but...
Yeah. And like that's the thing is like I'm okay doing it with like Kirby, for example. And I might get the expansion pack now that they have GameCube as well. So with that case, I'd get to play Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom. Because those ones I'd just want to turn on and be like, whoa. I wouldn't actually want to play them again. I've got too many games. But they did also announce that there will be some free updates for select games. We don't know the full list, but there's some included already. So Mario Odyssey, Super Mario 3D World, ARMS, Captain Toad, Pokemon Scarlet Violet. Those games will be getting free updates that utilize the Switch 2's power. So it's not all going to be Switch 2 editions. Some games will just get performance boosts. So like, for example, Xenoblade Chronicles X just came out. That'd be a great game to just make it run at 60 FPS. We don't need anything else. The game's already full. Don't add anything. Just 60 FPS, please. So I hope a lot of games go that path.
Oh boy. Speaking of Cyberpunk, Cyberpunk 2, the Ultimate Edition. I'm sorry.
Cyberpunk 2?
Cyberpunk 2?
Wow.
They're working on the next Cyberpunk game. We probably won't see it till like 2029. But anyway, Cyberpunk Ultimate Edition is coming to Switch 2 on launch day. If you've never played Cyberpunk, which is crazy because you should, but if you've never played Cyberpunk, here's your chance to play it on the Switch 2, June 5th. You can play Cyberpunk. You can play Cyberpunk Phantom Liberty. You can take silly little pictures of Keanu Reeves. It's really the perfect game. The only thing that sucks is no mods, but can't get mods on console anyway. So
yeah,
but I think it's worth it. Cyberpunk's a great game, but like I said, if you haven't played it yet and you're like waiting till the Switch 2 comes out, I think you're a really interesting customer, and I'd like to study your buying and purchasing habits a little bit, because it's that would be an interesting place to jump into the series. I'll say that much.
I wonder, because there's like a lot of people that like Switch ports do better than we know, because we usually play games on more powerful consoles. So I think maybe Switch 2 is just trying to do that, but with, you know, the big games of last gen and some of this gen.
Yes. Yeah, it is quite interesting. We'll see how it runs, because, you know.
I mean, it runs
Cyberpunk.
pretty well on a Steam Deck, right? And this is above that by a bit.
Yeah.
But
yeah,
that's not the only third-party offering. I'm just going to throw a bunch in your face, because they announced
ready.
so many third-party games that it'd be silly to talk about all of them individually. So I'm going to rattle them off. You ready?
Yep.
Final Fantasy VII Remake, Intergrade, Star Wars Outlaws, Elden Ring, Street Fighter 6, Borderlands 4, Bravely Default Remastered, Yakuza 0, Hitman, Tony Hawk 3+4, Hogwarts Legacy, Split Fiction, and they also announced that Hades 2 is getting its full release this year, and it will be coming to Switch 2.
I like how you said Tony Hawk 3+4.
Tony Hawk's
Do you mean
Pro
Tony
Skater.
Hawk 3? And what is 3+4?
Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3+4. There's a remaster pack of Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3+4.
Oh, okay.
That's what it's called.
Got it.
It's not Tony Hawk Pro Skater 7.
I didn't think so. I thought it was maybe Tony Hawk 3 and 4.
Yeah.
Not 3+4.
Well, it's advertised as 3+4.
That's fine.
Why?
Just a little confusing.
Why
If
are you
I were on the
angry?
marketing team at that particular company, I would say, let's not do 3+4, because
Microsoft?
it sounds kind of stupid to me.
At Microsoft.
Yeah, at Microsoft. I didn't know Microsoft made the Tony Hawk games.
Well, they bought Activision.
Were they made by Activision, or were they just published by Activision?
I mean, Activision.
'Cause
At
I'm
least
pretty
makes-
sure they were made by like
Yeah, like
the company
Activision.
with the eye,
yeah, but Activision owns
and
it.
the little spear goes through the eye.
Activision
Okay.
would do all the marketing.
Well, they should change that.
I also missed one.
I don't think you did. You said Hades 2 at the end.
No, I missed one as well. Silk Song.
Oh.
Which 2025 was what they said, so Silk Song has a window now. In all of this hubbub, Silk Song got a window.
That was a really low-key way for you to say that. You were like, oh, by the way, I missed a game, and it was Silk Song, the game that people have been waiting for years and years and years for. Fair enough.
Sorry.
That's a lot of exciting titles. Elden Ring is crazy, girl. Like, woo! My little Switch 2 is going to be blowing up the house. I'm just kidding. It's just a joke. Speaking of games that people are excited for and have been talking about for a long time and are popular on the internet, Deltarune chapters 1 through 4, not 1+4, 1 through 4, will be out on launch day, June 5th. So, woo, 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 woo. Are you excited for this one?
Yeah, I don't actually know if I'm going to play it on Switch 2, though.
What do you usually play? What do you usually play it on?
I mean, I played both of those on PC because that's where they were free. But this is coming out on everything at the same time, so I'll probably just play it on PS5 because that's my preferred console if I have to pick. And I know it's like, oh, why wouldn't you get on Switch 2? It's a brand new thing. And I'm like, you have a PlayStation 5, my preferred console. I don't know.
Right.
It's still exciting. I'm very, very happy about this. The date is great and also awful because I'm like, come on, Toby.
There's going to be so much. Yeah.
But to be fair, 2025 is looking dense now after this presentation.
Quite thick. Like a bread that's been proven for too long, or not long enough, I should say, actually. Like a bread that has not gone through a very long proving process. So it's very thick. Or as Prue on Great British Baking Show would say, it's a little bit stodgy. That's going to be 2025.
Well, the stodginess will continue in 2025 because another loaf is returning. A small pink one.
Oh.
And you might be like, oh, we already talked about Kirby, you idiot. And I'd say, hey, you're the idiot. Kirby.
I would say that, yeah.
I'm imitating you, not the audience. Kirby is back again in this presentation, and he's riding something. A star. As a vehicle. Kirby's Air Ride came out on GameCube in 2002. That's a long years ago.
That was a weird way to say that. 2002.
What do you want me to say?
2002?
2002. It's getting a sequel. Finally, in 2025, Kirby Air Riders is coming out. And it's being directed by Masahiro Sakurai. We knew he was making something with Nintendo. We didn't know what it was. We knew it was his dream project, though, because Nintendo was basically like, hey, what do you want to make? And he said that they let him say anything. Well, they let him pitch anything, and they accepted his pitch. So this is something he's been dreaming about since 2002.
And the incredible thing is he still looks the same age he did in 2002.
Yeah, he is 43 years old, and he looks... No, he's more than that, right?
I don't know. He was quite young when he started, I think. So he might be 43. Yeah, I mean, I feel like this is quite exciting.
50 and 4.
Oh, okay. So you are like 11 years off, but that's okay. Because he doesn't look 50 and 4.
This is crazy.
Yeah, very, very wild stuff. I think it's so amazing that he's able to come back and make this sequel. And I'm really looking forward to seeing more of it whenever it comes out in 2025.
Little weird that we didn't see gameplay, considering it's this year.
Yeah.
It's also a little crazy to release another racing game the same year as Mario Kart World.
Yeah, that's a good point. I feel like it will definitely be later in the year because they don't want to intersect too much with Mario Kart. But the truth is about Mario Kart, people don't play it like religiously after the fact. Like people play it when it comes out a lot, and and it does have like a baseline audience who continues to play it, but a lot of people play Mario Kart quite casually. So I think people who play Kirby
Air Riders,
Kirby in Dreamland.
I immediately saw it and said, oh, it's Kirby Star Ride. And then it was like Air Ride. And I was like, that's what I meant all along.
Yeah. I think it's a more niche audience who might stay a little bit more loyal. Not loyal, who might stay a little bit more locked in.
But this game does have the benefit. I feel like for the first year, every major release gets way more attention than it might otherwise because people are just hungry for new stuff.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's also no shortage of games on the thing. Like, I feel like Switch 1 launched and everybody was like, more. But this console is going to have games. Especially if you want to play any third-party stuff. There's so much coming to it. Most of the games I talked about earlier are day one. So, that's a lot. Like, you can play Split Fiction day one. You can play Hogwarts Legacy day one. You can play Street Fighter 6 day one. That's a lot of games.
Yep. Quite a bit. So the next game is a really interesting thing that happened today.
That's such an understatement.
We Andrew, on a scale of 1 to 10, how interested are you in playing Bloodborne 2, but on Nintendo Switch 2 in 2026, but it's multiplayer? What are your thoughts on that entire sentence that I just said? On a scale of 1 to 10. 10 being, yeah, I need it right now, and 1 being, get it away from me, I'm disgusted.
I feel like if you added the phrase directed by Miyazaki, it would take it from like a 6 to an 8. And that is...
Yeah.
Like, if you just told me it was multiplayer as is, I would say 6. But because it's Miyazaki's next game, 8.
Yep. Yeah.
This is crazy hypothetical, though, for you to say.
Well, I've got news for you. It's not a hypothetical at all. And while it's not necessarily Bloodborne 2, it's quite Bloodborne-y.
I wish the audience could have seen your face.
So this game is called Dusk Bloods. It is going to be, and I'm not kidding, I'm not pulling your leg, I am not joshing you, I'm not yanking your chain. It is going to be a Nintendo Switch 2 exclusive in 2026. I mean, we saw quite a bit. We saw gameplay, we saw characters, we saw story, we saw setting. I mean,
there's T-Rex.
It looks like a beautiful marriage of Bloodborne and Elden Ring. And kind of crazy. I was really busy today. I didn't really have time to look at my phone. So I opened Twitter like once in my whole day, and I saw a tweet that was like, wow, we really got Bloodborne 2, huh? And I was like, huh? I was like, what's going on? And lo and behold, here it is. I don't like to call it Bloodborne 2. It does look a lot more like Elden Ring, Bloodborne. It looks a little bit more modern than Bloodborne did.
Why? Because there's a literal train.
Technology. Yep, there's a train. Yeah, I mean, I will be there with bells on. So.
We don't know a lot. People are making a lot of assumptions and stuff. I would say maybe hold out. Let's wait and see what they say, what they show. Maybe if we're lucky, they'll show it at one of the Treehouse streams the next couple days. I wouldn't put money on it because it's 2026, but it looks like a FromSoft. Like everything they showed looks really cool. The setting looks really new, really unique. So many new enemy types. If there's a multiplayer focus, hopefully they let you play by yourself if you want to. I don't know. I'm gonna wait. You know, it's Miyazaki directed, so I do trust that there's something really good going on here. Especially because Nintendo is not going to be the one forcing them. Like if this was PlayStation published and they had to be live service, that wouldn't shock me. But this is Nintendo. There's no way that Nintendo is publishing this game and they're forcing FromSoft to be live service. Also, Nintendo is publishing this game. Like, it's not just on Switch. Nintendo is publishing the new FromSoft game. Not Bandai Namco. Not Sony. Nintendo is publishing the new FromSoft game. I think everybody had Elden Ring Switch 2 on their bingo card. Like, everybody. But I don't even know if there was a single person who was out there and being like, oh, Bloodborne Spiritual Successor is going to be a Switch 2 exclusive and it's going to be announced on April 2nd at the Nintendo Switch 2 Direct. I don't think one person said that.
No.
At least not seriously. People probably said that as a joke.
No. Yeah.
But that was crazy.
I think they need to add 2 characters in this game. And they're both plumbers. And one of them wears red and the other one wears green, and you have to kill them like viciously in FromSoft fashion. I think that would really seal the deal for me.
Yeah. I do wish that you could have seen this live, just because like when it starts with a really like mysterious man sitting in a chair, and I was like, why does this look like FromSoft? I'm like, it's not FromSoft. I'm like, it's not. That's silly. It's not FromSoft. They're not going to announce the new multi-plat FromSoft game at a Nintendo presentation, and then, you know, giant text comes on screen saying FromSoft, and I screamed. I live in a house now. I don't have walls sharing with neighbors, so I can scream at a Nintendo Direct, and I did. And then it became clear what we were looking at, and I was like, oh my goodness. And then it said exclusively for Nintendo Switch 2, and I was like, wow. They really didn't show any 2026 games except for this. And I think that's a pretty good... That one's allowed to be 2026, I think.
Yeah. On the topic of the multiplayer, because I kind of didn't talk about that. I feel like from what I felt when I was playing Night Rain, when I did the network test for Night Rain, I actually was really enjoying it. Yeah. I'm not a multiplayer like diehard. Like I play maybe 1 or 2 multiplayer games and like online.
Mm-hmm.
But when I played that network, and I was very wary going into it, like I don't really know how this is going to work. I don't know how FromSoft is going to handle this kind of game. I don't know how this is going to feel. Like, I played Fortnite a little bit in 2018. I get the whole storm situation, which is such an interesting idea. It's like that really originated in like, and I might be completely off base here, but I'm pretty sure it originated in PUBG. And then Fortnite kind of took it. And now like this has taken it, this being Night Rain. So, but I actually ended up really enjoying my time playing the network test, despite some actual network issues, which is great because it was a test. It wasn't the actual game. So that's a great time to have issues versus the launch of the game. Yeah. But so it gives me a little bit of hope that the setting, the characters, the environment, that is what pulls me in often with FromSoft games. And that was not missing in Night Rain just because of the multiplayer. So I do not think that will be missing here. And I think in particular, it does look to be a very strong setting. Like you said, it's obviously not Bloodborne 2. I'm just calling it that for funs, but
it's the vibes though.
For funsies. Yeah. But it's definitely more steampunk, which is an interesting place to take that. Not story, but it's an interesting place for FromSoft to move in. It kind of gives me like this like, oh, maybe we're advancing through time a little bit. Dark Souls was quite medieval. Elden Ring is pretty medieval too, but I think, well, it doesn't really matter. The point is I'm looking forward to this. I think it's interesting. I do agree. I hope you can play it alone because I think that is really the bread and butter. But it saying it was a multiplayer game kind of gives me the vibe that you maybe will not be able to play it alone. Yeah. But we can always play together on our Switch 2s, Andrew.
Yeah, that's the thing is like it's Miyazaki. I know I keep saying that, but like I don't love the idea inherently of a multiplayer only game. But I trust that there's a vision and also that they're so aware of what their audience likes,
Yes, absolutely.
I don't think that even if you have to play with people, they're not going to force you to like. It's like It Takes Two. If you want to play It Takes Two, it's frustrating because there's no way to just play it by yourself or play it with some rando. You have to find another person to play it with. That's not going to be the case here. There's no way that you're required to find friends to play it with. If you have to play with other people, they're going to let you be assigned people, which I think is an important feature. And also Elden Ring Night Rain does that, and that's a spinoff. So, of course, this new mainline FromSoft game made by FromSoft and published by Nintendo. It's just so funny. I wonder, just like Sony, if they're kicking themselves, just being like, oh, wow, we really fumbled that one.
Yeah. I don't even know. I mean, obviously, we don't really know the inner workings of what's happening with Sony. I just don't even really know. I don't understand why it wasn't pushed. Like, maybe there was some sort of legal goings on, or there was some code goings on that for whatever reason, like Bloodborne or just was untouchable.
I think it was Jim Ryan wanting to make every game high profit live service only.
Yes, which is interesting because realistically, I mean, obviously Night Rain isn't going to be high profit, I don't think, but it is. It's fully online. You can't play it if you're offline. So
yeah, but they want live service where because live service implies constant income, whereas Night Rain's been confirmed as a one-time purchase with no DLC.
Right.
And that sounds a bit bad to Jim Ryan, I think. Well, Jim Ryan's gone, but sounded bad.
Right. Absolutely. Let's never mind. I'm not going to say what I was going
Now
to
you
say
have
in a recorded setting. I will not be saying
okay.
that.
Something about Jim Ryan, perhaps?
Nope. Let's move on to the next story.
One of the final games that we heard about was a new entry in the Zelda series? What? Koei Tecmo is making another Hyrule Warriors game. This one is called Age of Imprisonment, and it tells the story of Zelda after she had gone back in time in Breath Tears of the Kingdom.
Breath Tears of the Kingdom.
She went,
I cry Tears of the Kingdom when I smell that breath of the wild.
wow, that was beautiful.
You like that? Thank you.
Well, you can play as Zelda. You can play as Rauru. You can play as Sonia, probably. All of these characters that we saw in the flashbacks of Tears of the Kingdom are going to be featured here in this new Warrior-style game. It's coming out this winter. It looks really nice because the last Hyrule Warriors game ran like bad. It ran bad. And this game appears to be running really well, and it's really cool to see the cutscenes running in 4K. Like, it just does. It's just 4K. The game's just 4K. I know I sound silly because games have been 4K for a while, but seeing a Nintendo game in 4K is weird. It's cool.
Yeah. I wish I could play a Warriors game. I really do. I did play Three Hopes.
I feel like that's the closest to what you could handle.
It was tough for me even. It was tough. I was struggling. But I am interested in the story because I think that it is really interesting to see what was going on. Like, I feel like we just don't get enough Zelda, and I think her character is so rich in Tears of the Kingdom and Breath of the Wild, and we just don't get enough of it, unfortunately, just based on the narrative of the game. So it will be cool to see her take more of a central role. That's not like silly little chibi.
Yeah. Well, even
Zelda
even
game.
then, Link was still in Echoes of Wisdom. Link theoretically cannot be in this one.
Right. I wonder if there's going to be some sort of like Link ancestor who will fill that role, because I don't know that they would ever release a Zelda game where you can't at least interact with Link.
Without spoiling it, the last Hyrule Warriors, the Age of Calamity, is like the prequel to Breath of the Wild that tells the, war, how everybody died 100 years prior.
Yes.
They make some pretty substantial changes to what should happen. So I wouldn't be shocked if that was the case and there was some way to get Link involved. But Link will not be a central tenant. At least it is fair to assume that he will not be a central tenant of this game.
You know who would be a great Zelda in the live action movie? Jack Black.
I think they already casted him as Impa.
Oh, okay. I think John Cena would also be a really good Zelda.
I think they already casted him.
I have to say something.
Actually?
I don't want there to be a live action Zelda movie.
Are you like hearing what it is finally? Like it's occurring?
I'm just like saying it out loud, and I'm like, there's going to be real people playing these characters. Like, how are they going to do Link? Is he going to talk?
Probably.
It sickens me.
Well,
it really does.
Let's just talk about video games.
I will only accept it. I will only accept it if it's John Cena. Anyway, another video game, and perhaps one that is a little bit bananas, was announced. Donkey Kong Bonanza, out July 17th. So a little bit post-launch. This is a new Donkey Kong game. I think it's I don't know. I guess it's just a Donkey Kong game.
I mean, it's the first 3D platformer in 25 years.
Yeah, pretty significant. I think Bonanza to me always sounds like party, like a Mario Party. So I'm like, oh, it's a Donkey Kong party. But if he went off on his own and threw his own party without Mario, I would be pretty mad. I would be offended on Mario's behalf. Anyway,
what are you?
It's the end of the episode. I'm exhausted. I had a very long day. I used like probably 80% of my brain power today because I worked. So I just want you to understand that that's what you're working with right now. Anyway,
It looks
Donkey Kong Bonanza, very exciting, exclusive, obviously, to Nintendo Switch 2. Well, maybe not obvious, but it's exclusive to Nintendo Switch 2, and it is out July 17th. So you better start freaking going bananas. You better get your bongos. You better get your bananas. You better get your ties, your red ties, and you better go
he doesn't have
crazy.
One,
Yeah, he
they
does.
got rid of it, didn't they?
No. Oh, watch the last 30 seconds of the trailer.
Oh,
Not even. Watch the last 4 seconds of the trailer.
I really assumed we were going to get a 3D Mario as later in the year final entry of this direct. And the way it started, I kind of thought that might be what it is. And then Donkey Kong punches through a wall. Boom, it's a Donkey Kong game.
Yep.
I'm getting more excited the more I think about this game. The environment appears to be destructible in vast ways, not just oh, you can destroy this box. Donkey Kong's just digging freely and destroying platforms and destroying the ground. I really think there's a high chance that this is going to have the level that Mario Odyssey has expressive movement. I think this game's going to have with just world interactions. It looks incredible, and I'm not a Donkey Kong guy. I'm not oh, we need a new Donkey Kong. I was indifferent. I'd be happy as long as it was 3D. I was I'm in. This trailer, he looks so good. This is I guess in a sense the premiere of his new design, right? We saw it in Mario Kart World, but that now it's confirmed that is his new design. That's what Donkey Kong looks like now. He looks so good. The new eyes, he makes, just watching the trailer, he makes so many facial expressions that have so much character. I love old Donkey Kong, but he didn't emote much, He couldn't. His eyes were pretty still. But there's just so much emotion behind this character, and I'm just so excited. It looks so good. It looks much better than I expected. Not that I expected it to be bad, but, I had 3D Mario in my head. It was really hard for, if it wasn't going to be 3D Mario, it was going to be really hard for anything to match that level of excitement, and I genuinely think this did it. It's also really crazy that it's launch window. It's not launch day, but it's 6 weeks after launch.
Monkey.
Monkey. 6 weeks after launch.
Monkey.
That's how I feel right now. I'm gonna be playing this a lot.
The monkey noises?
Oh,
the game.
Yeah.
The game.
This game's also $70. So this is an example of variable pricing. I don't think that means it's gonna be small. I think they just think Mario Kart is really, really big. I'm just going to keep talking while Kelly does her thing. So, Kelly, I have a big question for you now. And I think I know the answer, but I'm going to ask. I'm 90% sure I know the answer, but I'm going to ask anyway.
I don't like when you start with, I know the answer, I'm going to ask you anyway. It stresses me out.
Are you getting a Switch 2 on June 5th?
Well, partner, no.
Does it make you feel better or worse that's what I thought you were going to say?
I think it makes me feel fine. I none of the launch titles are really drawing me in. The only thing that I am feeling buzzed about is Duskbloods, which isn't coming out till 2026. Mm-hmm. The new Mario Kart does look fun. I would say that. But would I pay for the whole console for it? I don't think so.
But Kelly, there's a discount.
I think the only games that would really bring me in on launch day would be a new Animal Crossing or a new Fire Emblem, or that's kind of it, to be honest. Those are sort of my golden geese. Maybe a new Pokemon game would bring me in.
There is a new Pokemon game.
That wasn't Legends. Sorry. A new mainline Pokemon game. But as of right now, I'm fine with waiting. But that might change in a couple weeks. I don't know. When is the pre-sale? It's the
1 week from today.
9th?
So I would say you have to decide 7 days from now,
true.
because it's gonna go.
Like I said, I don't think the price of the console itself is particularly brutal. And I do tend to buy digital more, so the game prices aren't killer. But like I said, I'm not necessarily sure that what is on the table right now is enough to make me justify spending $450 plus more.
Yeah.
If there was a Fire Emblem, yes. If there was a new Animal Crossing, yes. But I also am excited to play Tomodachi Life, and I can play that on my regular Switch. So
yeah,
yeah.
I'm all in. Like, I was very hurt by the $80 news. Not like personally, and Nintendo's not my friend, but I'm so on board with everything they showed. Like, Mario Kart looks so like a next level to me. I always love a Mario Kart. I'm always gonna buy Mario Kart day one. But like, I'm such a single player kind of person, and just like the modes, because it's still gonna have Mario Kart stuff to do, but the additions just seem so cool. And then Donkey Kong looks really exceptional, and that is functionally a launch title, a launch window title. You know, if it's less than 2 months, I would say you're basically in there. And there's so many games coming out. Like Mario Kart and Deltarune are both out June 5th, and those are huge for me. I still have a backlog of things to play. I'm going to be okay waiting between June 5th and July 19th. Like, I'm not going to be upset about that. But I will be working very, very, very hard on April 9th to make sure I get one, because I need it. I'm usually pretty good about getting pre-orders and stuff. I could have, like, it's like PS5, even I missed PS5, but I was able to get one like 2 days after launch. And I bought 3 Switches, so I could probably handle 1 Switch too. I bought 3 Switches because I was scared that one of my pre-orders would get canceled, so I bought 2 extras, and then none of them got canceled. So I had 3 Switches on launch day.
Wow. Slay.
Yeah, I sold 2 of them at retail price for friends. Like, I was just like, hey, do you want this thing? And they're like, yeah. I was like, I'm not going to scalp it. But my hope is to get it at Best Buy, like I said, because that'll be in person on the day of release. I probably wouldn't go to a midnight release, because I go to bed like around 12 or 1. So if I go to a midnight release, it's the same thing. Like, I went to the midnight release of the Switch 1, got home, opened it, played like 10 minutes, and I was like, I'm too tired. Yeah. And I'm like, why not just go in the morning, pick it up, and then come home and play it as long as I want?
Yeah.
So, yeah. But I will be not working that day, to say the least. I will be playing a lot of Mario Kart.
Woo!
It looks so good, but I feel like I'm excited for what's in the near future, but I'm also like reinvigorated about what's to come. Like, just from what we've seen, I'm thinking about the new Fire Emblem. I'm thinking about a new Kirby game. I'm thinking about all of these Nintendo properties that I'm so excited to see new entries. And like, there's so much potential. There's so much potential. If you just look at and like, this kind of happened with the Switch generation, but like, look at the jump for this Mario Kart game. Look how substantial it looks. Look at the jump they're taking for Donkey Kong. These are things that like key me into the excitement of what's to come. And I'm really curious now, the next step for us, well, Switch 2 release, but is there going to be a June presentation or maybe September? There's going to be one other huge presentation this year, I would say, at least one. I'm just curious now, are we going to get a blowout in June, or are they going to kind of wait, because the Switch will have only been out for days at that point? Because we have to know about 2026 at some point. And they didn't talk about anything but Duskbloods.
Yes. I am excited for you.
Well, are you going to come over that weekend and play Mario Kart?
If you want me to, if you invite me, I'll be there with bells on.
Oh, please don't ring the bells.
And I will play as the cow. I will play as Miss Meadows. And I will go beep, beep. Moo, beep, beep. Moo.
Did I mention I bought a new TV?
No.
I bought a 77-inch OLED television.
Wow.
Which is supremely overkill. But I felt so validated during this presentation, because they're like 120 hertz. And I'm like, oh, my TV does that.
You were like, oh, that's me.
I don't even have the TV yet. It's coming tomorrow. And I'm really scared, because I'm not looking forward to mounting that television. My house is really weird, and it's hard to find the studs. And you need them studs if you want to hang a TV safely.
That's what it's like at the gay bar. Sorry.
We need to wrap it up,
sorry.
Kelly.
Hey, everybody. Actually, no, I'll talk about it next time.
Oh, games we played?
I did. Yeah, I did play. But we'll talk about it next time because
like a 32-second preview of what you thought, since this was a lot of stuff, but just so people know what you've been playing.
A 32-second preview.
Like spend 32 seconds. Saying what you thought about the game you played.
Yes. I thought the game that I played was quite good. Very high production value. Am I like teasing the game like they can't know what it was?
It is before you start.
Oh, okay. I've been playing the new Assassin's Creed game. I don't know why I said it like that. I feel like I said assassins. I've been playing Assassin's Creed Shadows because I'm very interested in it. So I bought it. I bought it with my money. And I've been playing it. I'm really enjoying it, actually. I think that the production quality is quite high. The music is really incredible. I think it's interesting to play it like now at this period of time in my life because there are a lot of things. So I watched the show Shogun last year, which for those who don't know, it was a show on FX. It was about a Japanese man, Shogun, I guess. I don't know his actual title. I assumed that was it. But his name was Nobunaga. And there's this old legend that he had this samurai whose name was Yasuke, and that is who you're playing as in this game. So it's kind of interesting because I was like, oh, I know that guy. I was like the Leonardo DiCaprio pointing at the TV meme where he's like, oh, that was me. Like, I was like, oh my God, I know that guy. My camera just, sorry, if you could just give me a second.
I love the camera giving up seconds before we finish what we're doing.
This is indeed an audio podcast.
Yeah, I mean,
so it doesn't really matter, but okay, awesome. Love that just happened. Anyway, so yeah, I feel like I haven't really played an Assassin's Creed game in a very long time. I think the last one I really actually played was like Revelations, which was like 2012, 2011. I don't even know. So it's been kind of an adjustment for me. And obviously I think the systems are quite different than they were back from 10 years ago, or 13 years ago, or, oh my God, let's not even go there. But yeah, I'm enjoying it. I'm excited to like talk about it more next week maybe, but that's all I'll give you right now because it's definitely been more than 32 seconds. It's probably been like 3 minutes. And now my camera's off and it's actually making me really upset. So.
Well, how about we say goodbye to our audience and let them stew in the hype of the Nintendo Switch 2?
Yeah, I'm going to go cry a little bit because of my camera and then cry in excitement because of my the new Nintendo games coming out that I probably won't play until later in the year. Anyway, thanks for listening, everybody. I hope you have a great day, week, month, year, and we'll see you next time. Bye.